Yo, about to react to 15 unsettling events you will regret if you don't see them. I got my camera down there. Um, and then I got my other camera right here. It's like kind of just it's there. You can't decide which one's better, but the other one seemed to look clearer than this. So, but obviously I can't make the camera any smaller than this. As you can see, I can't make it any smaller, only bigger. So it's gonna be there, but like I guess it's just gonna be at the bottom. And I'm not recording the bottom, so I won't see it. And I looked at it to see if it would like show me moving and stuff. It don't. Look, difficulties. I'll figure it out as I go along. But we about to react to this. Why is there an ad? Why can't you do that?
It doesn't matter how hard you try and avoid it. Our planet is pretty much built on being as weird and creepy as possible.
What was that fiery tornado? Y'all seen that? It's looking crazy. Hold on.
Easy to miss out on the incredible and disturbing things around us. So, from a lot of cold in a hot country to a raining flight of dead geese, here are 15 unsettling events you will regret if you don't see them. Like this video. Smash the subscribe button and click the notification bell right now before this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping. Number 15. Summer ice. While climate change is not exactly something to be happy about, it's at least giving us some unique and fascinating stories like this. In July 2019, a freak summer hailstorm hit the busy city of Guadalajara, Mexico, and basically defied all the laws of physics in the process. The storm began during a period in which temperatures were hitting around 88 degrees Fahrenheit, around 31 degrees Celsius, which makes this whole event very unexpected to say the least. The storm dumped a 2-meter thick layer of hail onto the city and many of its neighborhoods, burying some cars deep beneath the ice. For Guadalajara at least, this is one of the heaviest seasonal hailstorms on record, and one of the few to have occurred during the typically hot summer season. You only have to look at the video to see how unsettling the whole event was. A shirtless man walking over a thick layer of ice. Is there anything more unnerving than that? It's
this video is
about
Amerikano too.
But that doesn't necessarily make the sight any more normal. Actually, quite the opposite. Just think about those kids throwing ice balls, or the shirtless man wandering over the ice. You know what? This is how all the post-apocalyptic movies begin. Time for the rare topic. People report sightings of UFOs every single day, but this one is a little stranger than usual. While most just report an unusual series of lights in the sky or something similar, this guy claimed to have spotted a giant orange Y-colored planet sitting right above the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C., believing it to be an eclipse. He grabbed his camera and captured this photo of what was very clearly not an eclipse. However, it appears that nobody else happened to notice this insanely large planet so close to our own, which raises a pretty big question. Is this a real photo, or has it been edited? What do you think?
But I do remember that sometimes
the hashtag rare topic. And let us know your opinion in relation to what we just showed on screen. And now, to the next topic. Number 14. Dead geese. In the Bible, a classic sign of things going horribly wrong is the sight of animals falling from the sky. Well, when those animals are dead, it just makes it all the more truly horrifying and concerning. In 2018, residents of Idaho Falls in the United States were pretty shocked to discover what looked to be dead geese carcasses falling from the sky. You know what that means, right? That's right, friends. It's the end times. Okay, so it's not quite end times, but the fallen corpses did give volunteers and specialists at the Idaho Department of Fish and Game the horrible task of cleaning up the pile of dead geese. So they were probably hoping for the end times. Fortunately for all of us, it didn't take too long to locate the true cause of this potential skybound massacre: avian cholera. Isn't that comforting? A good old-fashioned disease. Avian cholera is a bacterial infection that can cause many birds to just up and die without any signs of disease. Apparently, that also affects those vulnerable snow geese in the process of flying north to nest. While avian cholera is not threatening to humans, the Department of Fish and Game swiftly ensured no risk to any other form of wildlife, incinerating the corpses. What a happy ending to this charming entry. Number 13. Dust storm hailstones. There's nothing fun about
we ain't
being
gonna watch
caught
the
in
whole
a
video.
hailstorm at the best of times. But there's
I
something
do want
even less
y'all, if
fun
you
about
wanna,
that
if you
hailstorm
was
being made
interested,
up of stones the
I do
size
want y'all
of
to go
golf
over there and
balls.
finish it
If
with
you've never
them.
had a golf ball fired at your body with speed, well, you need new friends.
I got the
But that's
tutorial, I got like
probably
9
exactly
minutes.
what it was like in 2020. Parts of southeastern Australia experienced some
So I'm
pretty
gonna watch it till
horrendous
like
hailstorms
2:30.
after
And
suffering some
I'll
devastating
finish it.
dust storms, which managed to
If you
block
want to
out
see
the
the rest,
sun
y'all can go
and
over
cover
there. You know
everything
what I mean?
in sand. While the dust storms had already caused some damage to the region, the hailstorms amplified the damage, with stones measuring about 2 inches wide, effortlessly smashing windows and injuring dozens and dozens of birds in the process. In fact, some good Samaritans took the injured birds to a vet, where they found a whole bunch of injured birds just waiting to be seen. It had all the markings of a Monty Python sketch. It's easy to imagine this kind of storm causing serious injury, as a piece of ice the size of a golf ball is not exactly going to be a soft impact. But what a way to go, knocked into a coma by a hailstone. Put that on your gravestone. Number 12. Beached fish. It's always a sad sight to see an animal carcass washed up onto a beach, but it's especially unsettling when there are a lot of them. And by a lot, I don't mean a few dozen dead animals. I mean thousands of dead animals washed up onto the surface. Yeah, in case you haven't grasped it, this is going to be a pretty gross entry. In 2019, the remains of thousands of dead fish were discovered washed onto the shore of the Philippine city of Zamboanga. The sight alone was so shocking that locals began an investigation, all on their own, prompting a somewhat amusing response from Philippine officials, who asked that locals stop consuming the dead fish for their own safety. Apparently, some people believed they could make some kind of delicious dinner out of the findings. At least they're not willing to waste food, I guess. Experts began investigating the mass killing soon after, and quickly concluded that it was most likely the result of an oxygen deficiency. Perhaps there was just a complete lack of, or a low level of oxygen, or perhaps it had all dissolved, but the cause of death for all the fish was a result of them being unable to breathe. Still, probably a good idea for the locals not to eat washed up fish generally. Number 11. Firenado. Tornadoes, birdnadoes, sharknadoes, it seems every tornado has a gimmick these days.
Why is my camera doing? Why did it stop?
What is it, you ask? Well, it's another tornado, sure. But this one is entirely made of fire. Okay, it's not totally original, but the firenado is a pretty terrifying sight in its own merits. I think it's fairly obvious what a firenado is from the name alone. But if you aren't really sure, it's what happens when the hot center of a tornado ignites, sparking up a deadly tower of intense, violent fire and heat. And it just so happened that the whole thing was caught on HD camera by a broadcast news network for the first time ever during the deadly Australian wildfires. TV cameraman Chris Tangy happened to catch the incredible sight purely by chance, and even managed to record the sound caused by the firenado. That's the first TV footage of firenados, and the first sound, which no doubt earned him a promotion of some sort, while the other nados are pretty deadly in their own merits. The firenado is in a whole league of its own, capable of destroying entire communities in no time, and it was on TV, so it's famous now. Number 10. The Volcanic Collapse. Is there such thing as a non-destructive volcano?
Personally, I think the firenado was probably just like
that, here's another very
maybe a fire caught, and then the smoke that was going up due to the winds turned into a tornado or something. Something like that. I don't think it just.
The eruption of Kilauea
In a way, it just dropped from the sky and was like
the type of instant explosion that typically makes up a volcanic eruption. This particular event was a slow, months-long event that resulted in huge damage.
It was still a firenado. That's that much can be said.
Collapsed and began consuming its surrounding environment. The hot molten magma below transformed into rivers of lava, creating a frankly terrifying sight that really shows the dangers that come with having an active volcano in your country. It's not that there's much anybody can do about it, obviously. I mean, all the movies have shown that dropping things into the volcano usually just causes more problems. So what other options are there? What's most unsettling about this video is the realization that this kind of slow burn eruption.
Maybe we try this. The Jake-Way.
Dinner starting with dessert.
The Jake-Way is a brand. It encompasses a whole life.
I want to see that show.
If you'll excuse the pun, is happening around the world, including the notable Wadden eruption in Iceland. You just can't stop the heat. Number 9. Spider rain. Sometimes we worry that there isn't enough content out there to terrify the arachnophobes into getting no sleep, so we like to balance that out a little with some frankly horrifying nightmare fuel. This may well prove to be one of the worst things we've ever discovered for the spider-phobes yet. So seriously, guys, you better get under your blankets now if you're even slightly afraid of spiders in the Brazilian town of Espírito Santo do Eduardo. The locals often
Hey,
report a
hold
pretty
ya.
terrifying dose of freak
If I was
weather
scared of spiders
conditions,
not
but
saying
while
that,
all countries around the world suffer devastating dust storms, hailstorms, tornadoes, hurricanes, firenadoes, sharknadoes, etc., Brazil is dealing with something that may just be worse. Apparently, the locals have frequently reported a bizarre condition, claiming that their sky is often filled with spiders that then rain down on unsuspecting citizens, like a kind of nightmare plague. Even saying it is enough to make you itch, right? This is about as close as you can get to demon weather without crossing into full-on lava rain. We have no explanation for how or why this happens, but it's definitely not something I'd like to see again. Number 8. Cocooned trees.
they probably got a big
Much
wave
like
in the
other
sky.
areas of the region, Pakistan is
But they made
vulnerable
them
to a
like the
lot of
poles or
challenging
something,
weather
because they went
conditions.
that high
In
up.
fact, it's all but certain that each year we see dust storms, monsoons, and even tropical storms hitting the country. But sometimes, the floods that come with these weather conditions can result in some extra unsettling behavior. In 2010, a particularly bad series of floods led to something of a crisis among Pakistani insects.
Is that a
Due to the
stinker?
significant nightmare that
That's
floods
the
had
biggest
posed to the
stinker
country,
I've ever
millions of
seen.
insects,
Oh, that's
spiders,
disgusting.
and other creatures flocked into the trees for shelter. But as the days passed, and as the rain showed no sign of letting up, the animals were forced to take action to protect their new home. Eventually, the rain came to an end, and that's when the local residents saw this. What you're looking at is a whole bunch of trees, cocooned in spiderwebs so thick that they could easily be seen from a large distance. It's hard to explain what's so unsettling about this sight, but something about the unusual shape of the tree just leaves you with a deeply uncomfortable
They
shiver.
don't really
It's
bother
like
me.
Charlotte really wanted to improve on her web.
But like they say, you could tell, you know what I mean, the
Fall.
spiders and
We
what
think of
and whatnot,
waterfalls as a kind of
just trying
year-round
to
tourist
protect
attraction. Not
where they
unlike the
live at,
nature
like they
version of
harm
Disneyland.
from the rain.
There's one in
That's
every
kind of hard.
continent, and you'll probably never be able
That's
to
kinda
get near the
gangsta.
good stuff without pulling a few strings. But there are apparently some waterfalls that play by their own rules, and they all have charming names,
What?
like
What is
Horsetail
that?
Fall and Staircase Falls. It's like being inside a storybook, but without the talking animals. Horsetail Fall is shockingly not an Instagram hashtag, but an ephemeral waterfall in Yosemite National Park. Unlike typical
Horsetail
waterfalls, ephemeral waterfalls only flow occasionally and for short
I thought they was
bursts.
gonna
And
say
they're
they-
basically
it was
just
a-
water-based divas. In the case of Horsetail Fall, it
I don't
typically
even
allows
know,
itself to
like-
flow in winter and early spring, dropping 2 streams 1,600 feet onto the rocks below. But for most tourists, it's really the sunset that brings this waterfall to life. If visited at the right time, the setting sun illuminates the falls, making it appear almost a glowing orange in color. This firefall has become an incredibly popular
Oh, it is
tourist
Firefall.
attraction
Okay.
for the
I
Instagram
thought they
cool
was gonna
kids
say
and
that.
the old school waterfall aficionados. There's something breathtaking about the firefall, the orange hue looking so bright that it could easily be mistaken for lava. Thankfully, it's not, but don't tell the hipsters. Number 6. Black Sun.
Yeah, it's
Before
obviously
any of you say it,
water.
yes, we know what an eclipse is, but the black sun is not an eclipse. In fact, it has absolutely nothing to do with the sun whatsoever. It is simply the biggest nature event in all of
I
Denmark.
don't know
A
what
moment for
all
everyone
those
to
little
come
animals
together
are.
and
I
watch
don't
a
know if
truly
they
beautiful
bugs,
sight.
they
And no,
birds.
it's not an
what's going on?
eclipse. Stop asking. Every fall, locals and tourists gather at the Wadden Sea National Park in Denmark to watch an incredible natural ballet unfold. Like clockwork, hundreds of thousands of
Natural
migrating
ballet.
starlings arrive in the marshes, looking for rest and food before they begin their journey south for the winter.
Oh, those
But
are
before
birds.
landing, the flock begins performing a series of
Oh, no, no, think
incredible
about it.
aerial
I've seen
maneuvers
something
and
like that out
ballets,
here.
all designed to prevent and attack potential birds of
Why does
prey
it keep
trying to
going?
enter. The constantly moving
Do I have
patterns
to
block
click
the
the
sky
little-
out, leading to the name the Black Sun. If you know what you're looking at, it's easy
I
to
just
see
gonna
that this is a
periodically
truly
take videos
beautiful
if I
and breathtaking
don't.
sight. But if you're unaware,
I mean, take
it's easy
pictures
to
if I
see
don't
how
do this.
terrifying it can be to see this black mass
Is it?
moving around in the sky. To one person, it's a group of pretty birds looking for rest. To another, it's cause to grab a shotgun and move to the mountains. Ah, nature. Number 5. Hole punch clouds. There's a lot of things that go on in the sky above us,
Look,
from
for future
different types of
reference,
clouds
I know to
to those
do that.
controversial jets
And then when I'm
left
doing
behind by
gameplay too,
planes.
now I know I
Don't
can do
hear
that.
that one. But we
I
never
did wanna
expected
have a,
aerial hole punches to be one of those bizarre things. For legal
a
reasons,
face cam.
we should probably say that we have no idea if Staples has any hand
I don't
in
know
this,
if I can,
but,
like,
we think they might know
trim
something.
it
These mysteriously
like,
shaped
make it
clouds
smaller.
are often reported to officials
I
as
just need like a little
UFOs,
box.
but
I
the
can
truth
like
is
a fat
something much
rectangle,
more
but I mean,
mundane,
it works.
although no less fascinating. In actuality, these mysterious clouds are created by airplanes passing through a layer of altocumulus cloud, creating heavy ice crystals in their wake that then fall toward Earth and leave the familiar-looking hole punch effect. That's all a pretty boring explanation, and it doesn't convince any of the conspiracy theories,
look
but
crazy.
it lets Staples off the hook at least, for now. It doesn't really matter what explanation
That's definitely
you
something
get.
to have
The
as your,
sight of a weird hole in the sky will always make
computer
people feel
wallpaper.
uncomfortable.
Be
It's
gangsta.
just in our nature, having been conditioned by science fiction TV and film. Hole in sky equals apocalypse. When Staples uses it to advertise their products, that's when I'll be truly uncomfortable. Number 4. Lenticular clouds.
Okay, we're gonna finish this one, and then
more than a cloud.
I'm gonna get off.
Just the right shape.
Y'all can't see it because I don't think I'm recording that. Yeah, I'm not recording that part. But it's 2:30 now, and I mean it's about that time.
It wouldn't surprise me if the FBI has clouds on their most wanted list at this point. To be fair to those UFO hunters, lenticular clouds are a very unique phenomenon. These are formations that are not only incredibly smooth, but almost always shaped like a kind of lens or saucer, making them look very much like what we assume to be the shape of a UFO. While they are unique, they're certainly not rare, having been seen on every single continent in the world, and for a reason. Lenticular clouds are formed when stable, moist winds blow across hills or mountains from the same direction, with differing heights, and then form what we now see as an unusual, oddly unsettling sight in the sky. As yet, the world's militaries have not opened fire on lenticular clouds, but it's highly likely that this is the direction in which we're headed, and who knows? They've been spying on us for so long, it's probably time to start a global war with the clouds. Who's with me?
A global war with the clouds? This dude is...
Supercell.
What? Some of the stuff you say is crazy. Like, what? A global war with the clouds.
As strange as it is to think about, there's more than one type of thunderstorm, and...
Alright, if y'all want to watch the last 3, y'all gotta slide that way. You know what I mean? You gotta slide back to that channel and check it out. Hey, but I enjoy reacting to this. I know he be having a lot of stuff. I usually come for the scary stuff. This wasn't really all that scary. It was kind of crazy. That's about it. But like right here, there's probably some more to watch because I don't really care about Area 51. But like, he be having some good stuff like this. You know what I mean? So, as I said though, I'm about done with that. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. You know, let me say that. If there's anything I can do better, make sure to comment it. You know what I mean? Let me know. Because I do plan on checking those whenever I have time. Yeah, if you want to see more of me, subscribe to your boy. You know what I mean? And I'm going to see y'all in the next one. Alright? Peace. I'm looking at the computer. I'm looking at the camera straight. Excuse that. Peace.